world will be celebrating Christmas. Christmas is a Christian festival. Christians believe that this is, well, so people are told that supposedly Jesus, or Isa alayhi salam as we know him, was born on the 25th of December. And so because for Christians, Isa alayhi salam isn't just a man. For Christians, he is God. They often refer to him as the Son of God, but in deep down they consider him God incarnate, which means God in the appearance of a human being. So when you go to many churches, or if you walk past or drive past, you will say, you will see Christians, they worship Jesus because they regard him as God or a part of God. We as Muslims, we regard Isa alayhi salatu wassalam as one of the mighty messengers of Allah. Although Allah sent many prophets before Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, many of the famous ones are mentioned in Quran, but there are many Allah did not even tell Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam about. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِّن قَبْلِكَ مِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَصَصْنَا عَلَيْكَ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ لَمْ نَقْصُصْ عَلَيْكَ. Verily we sent messengers before you, some we told you about, some we did not tell you about. But there was one night, a very special night, in which Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam met all the prophets. And not only did he meet them, he led them in salah. And so from all the prophets, there are 5 which are considered mighty messengers of Allah. All our prophets, for us, they are all honorable, respectable, and we as Muslims are required to believe in all the prophets of Allah and respect them and show no disrespect towards any prophet of Allah. But from amongst them, 5 especially in Quran referred to as the mighty messengers, and they have been mentioned in many places in Quran together. And they are Nuh alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Nuh alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they are the 5 mighty messengers of Allah. And although Quran does not mention the birthday of any prophet, not even Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we believe Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam isn't just our prophet. He's a prophet even for the prophets. In fact, in light of the verse of the Quran, which is known as the verse of the mithaq of the prophets, it shows that even previous prophets were given nubuwwat and risalat on the condition they will also believe in and assist Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَإِذَا أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنصُرُنَّ. Allah gave the prophets this proposal that when I give you the book and wisdom and then comes unto you the Rasul, then you will have to believe in him and assist him. Do you agree? أَأَقْرَرْتُمْ وَأَخَذْتُمْ عَلَى ذَلِكُمْ إِسْرِي قَالُوا أَقْرَرْنَا. Do you agree? Yes, we agree. So as though this was the main condition, as though, with Allah's contract with the prophets, that they have to believe in and accept Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and assist him. A bit like nowadays when people get a job, but before you can start a job, you have to sign a contract to abide by the rules and regulations. So this was the main condition Allah put in front of all the prophets in the world of the souls. I'm going to make you prophets, I'm going to give you book and wisdom, but then when the mighty Rasul comes unto you, then لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنْصُرُنَّ. You will have to believe in him and assist him. Do you agree? And they all agree. A bit like when you say you agree, then sign on the dotted line. So they said, قَالُوا أَقْرَرْنَا. We believe, we acknowledge. So, but Allah hasn't even mentioned Rasulullah's date of birth in Quran. So Allah wasn't going to mention anybody else's birthday either. But it appears from Quran that Isa alayhi salam wasn't born in December. Because when the time came for Maryam, who was Isa alayhi salam's mother, and she was a very noble and a very extraordinary and a unique and special woman. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned that in the previous nation there were many a great men, but no woman greater than two. And both of these women are mentioned in Quran together in Surah Tahrim at the end of the 28th juz. One was the wife of Fir'aun, her name is reported to be Asiya, and the second was Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam. So one of the very unique and extraordinary women, one of the very special women. And when time came for her to give birth, then she was resting under a palm tree. And then Allah commanded her, having given birth, and Maryam alayhi salam, at the time, she was a very young girl. Even Christians believe that at the time of the birth of Jesus, Mary was probably 12, 13 years old. And so those who are married, they will know, and especially if you have children and you've been through the process, mashallah, having witnessed the birth of your children, you will know that it's a very difficult period. For a woman to give birth to a child is a very difficult period. And many women historically used to pass away during birth, during labor. And in Islam, if a woman passes away and dies while giving birth, and then she dies the death of a shaheed. This is how difficult it is for women. And back in the days, you can imagine, there were no maternity hospitals, no maternity wards, and there was no nurse or a woman to help Maryam alayhi salam. She was on her own, resting under a palm tree, and she gave birth. And having given birth, for any woman it's a very difficult time, but it leads to a lot of weakness. And so in that state, and she's a young girl, and especially for young girls to give birth is even more difficult. And then you can imagine what her physical condition must have been like. A young girl, barely 12, 13, 14 years old, she's just given birth. She's resting under a palm tree, and she was commanded, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. Shake this palm tree. Do you know what a palm tree is? Khujur ka darakh. I know many brothers, Bengali brothers, mashallah, I don't know if you've been to Bangladesh, I don't know if many of the young ones have been or not, but the elders probably have been. And I think you have some palm trees, date trees in Bangladesh. The fruit is right at the top. And if in many fruit trees, when you shake them, then the fruit goes. But dates, no, it's so difficult to shake a palm tree. Even if you go to the gym every day, 28-inch biceps. And mashallah, you are asked to shake a palm tree, it will be very difficult at least, if not impossible. Let alone a young girl, 12, 13 years old, who just given birth. So you can imagine what would have Maryam done. She just put her hands there. But Allah says, you do your best, I will do the rest. So this dunya is darul asbab. You have to do everything in light of means. You have to do your best in everything, not just make dua. Not like a young man who went to Huzur, and he said, Huzur, make dua, like give me a son. Okay? A few days later he went again, Huzur, make dua, like give me a son. Allah give you a son. Sometime later again he went again, Huzur, make dua, like give me a son. He said, I will make dua, but are you doing anything as well? Have you got married? Because well, if I was married, I wouldn't be coming to you. This dunya is darul asbab. You have to do everything what's required. You do your best, Allah will do the rest. And so Maryam alayhi salam, you can imagine what could she have done except merely place her hands on there and Allahu Akbar. But Allah said, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. And you shake and then ripe dates will fall upon you. Now in Palestine, there's lots happening in Palestine now, Allahu Akbar. May Allah have mercy on the people of Palestine. May Allah grant them peace and security. They are going through a very, very difficult time. Allahu Akbar. And unfortunately and sadly, most Muslims, at least those who can do something, are not doing anything for them. Although many people, not just Muslims, many even non-Muslims feel their pain, but nobody can do anything. This is a unique scenario, what's happening in Palestine now. Unlike anything in history, people know exactly what's happening live, but yet they can't do anything. Allah. And those who can have decided not to do anything. Allah. And people who can pull the strings, they are just making a fool out of them and out of everybody else. Allahu Akbar. And so people, out of frustration, many are marching onto the streets of capital cities in the world, demanding ceasefire, sympathizing with the people of Palestine. And although many Muslims might be asleep, and people who have authority to do something, all they are worried about is buying football clubs. All they are worried about is buying football clubs, Allahu Akbar. And instead of spreading Islam and giving the true message of Islam to people across the world, the people in Gaza under bombs. And just to give you an idea what sort of bombs have dropped on them. More bombs have dropped on these Palestinians in Gaza than the destructive power of the atom bomb dropped on Hiroshima. More than 20,000 bombs. And many, when the United States was bombing ISIL, Islamic State, Daesh, in Raqqa, which was the capital of the supposed Islamic State, they dropped only one bomb, which weighed 2,000 pounds. Netanyahu and company have dropped hundreds of such bombs. And they've dropped more bombs in the first month of the present genocide than America dropped in a whole year in Afghanistan. More people have died in 1 month, well now 2 months, than have died in 2 years of Russian invasion of Ukraine. Allahu Akbar. But can anybody do anything? No. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. But anyway, Maryam alayhi salam resting under, and in Palestine in the winter, it's so cold that there's no dates in December on any tree in Palestine. In Palestine, dates ripen August, September. And so if there were ripe dates on the trees, as Allah hints in Quran, Surah Maryam, then the birth of Isa alayhi salam could not have been in December. It was probably sometime late summer, early autumn. And so this is what the Quran hints. The Bible hints something similar. This is why many Christians, although most Christians celebrate Christmas, but now Christmas isn't just a religious festival. Christmas has become more of a commercial enterprise. Because now many Muslims supposedly also celebrate Christmas. And some of the most extravagant Christmas celebrations have not been in Rome, Paris, London, New York, in the Western capitals in the capitals of the Western countries, but mashallah in Dubai. In recent years, Christmas trees worth over $10 million have been put up, and previous years with real gold. Allahu Akbar. But many Christians don't celebrate Christmas. MashaAllah, there was a Jamaat here, and when I was coming in, they said, we have been here, but we are leaving after Maghrib because another Jamaat is coming. So many times Jamaat brothers come, and one of their regular activities is going around visiting people's houses. It's called Gasht. You have Gasht here? When do you have Gasht here?
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday evening?
Saturday after Maghrib.
Saturday after Maghrib. So mashallah, the Tabligh brothers often do gasht in the evenings, usually Saturdays or Sundays. But there is another party which does gasht Sunday mornings. They are the Christian version of Tablighi Jamaat. You know who they are? Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Christmas. Because they believe, they know Jesus wasn't born in December. Simple as that. So if he wasn't born in December, then what's the point of celebrating Christmas on the 25th of December? Because the Bible says, the Gospel of Luke, that when Jesus was born, the shepherds were overlooking their flocks. Shepherds means those people who have sheep and goats. They are called shepherds. They were overlooking their flocks, their sheep and goat were grazing out. And the shepherds were standing there looking at their flocks. And in December, January, when it's extremely cold, in the winter time, shepherds don't let their flocks out. They keep them in because it's very cold. So if the shepherds were overlooking their flocks, then it couldn't have been December. So hence, the Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Christmas. I have interacted with many, that is what they say. Although many people do. But unfortunately and sadly, and even many moderate Muslims celebrate Christmas. And celebration of Christmas, this is a Christian religious festival. So when a Muslim celebrates Christmas, he's honoring the Christian false doctrine, which even many Christians don't celebrate. We know, mashallah, many young people follow football. And many young people are fans of Liverpool Football Club. It's one of those, internationally renowned and big football clubs, which even many Arabs were so desperate to buy, but they didn't get it. And there's the famous Muslim player, Muhammad Salah. This is such a subhanallah, it's wrong to call anybody Mo. A man whose name is Muhammad, to call him Mo, astaghfirullah. This is the most special name, a name Allah reserved for the most noble man in the whole of the universe. And his name is Muhammad. And we call him Mo. At least no Muslim should call him Mo. What others do is up to them. But at least as Muslims, we ought to honor the name of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His parents, when they kept that name for him, why did they keep that name? They kept it because it is the name of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So to show respect to the name of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to call it Mo, astaghfirullah. At least in my opinion, that's absolutely unacceptable. Anybody's name is Muhammad, astaghfirullah, many even our youngsters, Muhammad. No, we should learn to pronounce it properly and be proud of the name of Muhammad. Because you are named after Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Even Muhammad Salah has been celebrating Christmas. And subhanallah, these are difficult things, and people, subhanallah, they give in. But celebration of Christmas by a Muslim, we're not saying you make fun of Christians. That's their festival. Let them celebrate it. Our festivals are Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Christian now in Saudi Arabia as well, they've been celebrating Christmas, not just Christmas, but Diwali as well. Allahu Akbar. Living here in Southall, I used to live in Southall here. I lived here almost 30 years of my life. When I came to this country in the early 1970s, from early 1970s to almost 2000, I lived here. And mashallah, we used to gush at all these streets, mashallah. And there used to be just one masjid, Townsend Road, and then the CJM was built, mashallah, and then Masjid Abu Bakr wasn't where it is now. Villiers Road, they bought a house here, and then later on it moved there, mashallah. So there's a large Sikh and Hindu community, and here, so when it's Diwali time, Southall is very busy. But in Saudi Arabia, which is the homeland of Islam, for over 1,000 years, there were no celebrations of Christmas and Diwali, but now they are celebrating Christmas and Diwali. Allahu Akbar. Allah, these are signs of Qiyamah, my dear brothers. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated, "La taqumu as-sa'a." Qiyamah will not come until idols are worshipped in this land. And now temples are being built. Some of the biggest temples on the Arabian Peninsula, Jazirat al-Arab. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's last wish was, he said if he wished, then he would not allow any Jews or Christians to live in that land. Christians will come and go, but not be based there. So Umar radiallahu anhu, after Rasulullah passed away, there were Jewish communities. He gave them more and better lands elsewhere, but fulfilled the wish of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahu Akbar, nevertheless. So Christmas is a Christian festival, but we don't celebrate Christmas, we believe in Isa alayhi salam. And Isa alayhi salam's place is a very important figure in Islam as well. Although the Christians have named themselves after Isa alayhi salam, in English they refer to Isa alayhi salam as Jesus Christ. So those who believe in the Christ are Christians. And in Arabic and Urdu, his name is Isa alayhi salam. So in our language, we refer to Christians as Isai. Isai meaning followers, or those who follow Isa alayhi salam. So although people might think that Jesus is a personality for the Christian, but Isa alayhi salam is a very central figure in Islam as well. So much in Quran is mentioned about Isa alayhi salam. In fact, in Quran he's mentioned in a manner no other prophet is mentioned. Every stage of Isa alayhi salam's life is mentioned in Quran. Number one, he is the only man whose mother's name is given in Quran. Every man has, anybody after Adam and Hawa alayhim as-salam, anybody who came to this world, everybody had a mother. Ibrahim alayhi salam had a mother. Musa alayhi salam's mother's name, Musa alayhi salam's mother is mentioned in Quran, but her name is not given. Well, I have given her name, but the Quran doesn't make mention of Musa alayhi salam's mother's name. Even Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had a mother. Her name was Amina. But is it in the Quran? It's not in the Quran. Allah's mentioned many women in the Quran. Allah's mentioned Adam alayhi salam's wife. Ya Adam uskun anta wa zawjuka al-jannah. Allah has mentioned wife of Nuh alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam. Allah has mentioned the wife of Fir'aun. Allah has mentioned Ibrahim alayhi salam's wife. وَامْرَأَتُهُ ضَاحِكَةٌ فَبَشَّرْنَاهَا بِإِسْحَاقٍ. Allah has mentioned wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Lut alayhi salam's wife is mentioned in the Quran. Musa alayhi salam's mother is mentioned in the Quran, but their names are not mentioned. There is only one woman mentioned in the Quran with a name, and that woman is Maryam alayhi salam. Not just mentioned, Allah has revealed a whole surah in her honor. I think everybody's come from home just at Maghrib. They probably had some tea or lunch already. Because then it distracts everybody, that everybody's attention. So Isa alayhi salam's mother is mentioned by name. Allah has mentioned Rasulullah's wives in the Quran. Ya ayyuhan nabi qul li azwajika wa banatik. Allah has mentioned Rasulullah's wives, his daughters in the Quran, but not his mother's name. Not any of his wives or daughters' name. Hazrat Fatima's name is not in the Quran. Ruqayya, Kulthum, Zainab, they are not in the Quran. Rasulullah's daughters are mentioned collectively in the Quran, but not their names. Rasulullah's wives, his wives are our mothers, but none of their names is given in the Quran. Not even Khadija radiallahu anha. Rasulullah loved her so much. He loved her so much that even though Khadija radiallahu anha passed away and she was 15 years older than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was 25 years old and he wanted a wife, people who are sitting here, mashallah, whose age might be 25, 30, where if you're looking for a wife, what sort of age bracket do you think you will go for? Probably 18, 20 young. But when Rasulullah was 25 at his prime youth, Rasulullah married a woman 15 years older than him, who had been married many number of times before and had children from previous wives, previous husbands. So Rasulullah married her, and Rasulullah was with her for almost 27 years. And Allah gave Rasulullah children with her. And then she passed away. And then many years lapsed. And whenever Rasulullah would remember her, it would bring tears in his eyes. He loved her so much. And she was such a special woman. Jibreel used to bring salam from Allah for Khadija. But her name is not given in Quran. Once Rasulullah remembered Khadija, and Rasulullah tears flowed down his cheeks. And then later on Rasulullah had married a number of wives, and his most favorite wife afterwards was Aisha radiallahu anha. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, as reported in Sahih Bukhari, Ayyun nasi ahabbu ilayk, who do you love the most? Rasulullah said Aisha. He didn't used to make a secret of the fact that he loves Aisha very much. And so Aisha radiallahu anha, she had a very special relationship with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because of love, she knew Rasulullah loves her. So she used to be very frank with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so once she said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, you still haven't forgotten that old woman. She was young. Hazrat Khadija had passed away. She was almost 70 when she passed away. And so she referred to her as an old woman. Ya Rasulullah, you still haven't forgotten that old woman. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, how can I forget her? He said, when people rejected me, she accepted me. Rasulullah wanted to marry some other woman, but her father said no. So Rasulullah said, when others rejected me, she accepted. When I had nothing, she was a very rich woman. She put all her wealth at my discretion. Then Allah gave me children with her. She is the mother of my children, the mother of Fatima, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, radiallahu anhunna, and Rasulullah's son Qasim, and Rasulullah's kuni Abu al-Qasim. So Rasulullah said, Allah gave me children with her, so how can I forget her? When somebody used to send presents for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, some food, etc., he would keep a share for the friends of Khadija. He never forgot her. But her name is not in Quran. The only woman mentioned in Quran is Maryam, the mother of Isa. So, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's mother's name is given, so that it doesn't leave any ambiguity. Allah knew there will come a time when many people will lay claim, no, we are the Messiah. Because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made mention of the fact that there people will come falsely claiming to be a prophet, and not just the Muslims but Jews and Christians as well as many supposed Muslims who consider themselves as Muslims have laid claim to being the Messiah. And one such man was a man by the name of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. In Southall there's quite a community of these Qadianis. They refer to them as Ahmadiyya. They have a temple on Villiers Road here. That's not a masjid. They call it masjid, but in the whole Muslim world has declared them as a non-Muslim minority. So no Muslim should go and pray there. Your prayer will not be valid with Qadianis. You should not go to such places. In the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the munafiqs built a masjid. It's mentioned in the Quran. It's called Masjid al-Darrar. When they built that masjid, because they were hypocrites, they used to sit there and plot against Muslims. But they wanted to be recognized and considered a valid masjid. So they wanted Rasulullah to come and endorse this masjid. And Rasulullah was going to Tabuk. So then Rasulullah said, I'm busy now, when I come back then we'll see. So when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came back, and the people, they requested Rasulullah to come over, Allah forbade Rasulullah, La taqum fihi abada. Not just don't pray there. Allah said to Rasulullah, don't even go there. لَمَسْجِدٌ أُسِّسَ عَلَى التَّقْوَى مِنْ أَوَّلِ يَوْمٍ أَحَقُّ أَن تَقُومَ فِيهِ. a masjid which is established on piety and goodness from the first day, that masjid deserves more that you pray there. And these people, they are hypocrites, and they mean nothing but trouble, and they want to cause division and hatred between Muslims. So don't even go there. So these Qadiani temples, etc., you should not even go there, let alone pray there. Alhamdulillah has blessed you with masjid here. What's wrong with praying here? So don't be impressed by a nice looking building. That's not a valid masjid in the eyes of Islam and Muslims. But their founder, his name was Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. He said, I'm the Messiah. He said, Muslims have been waiting for the Messiah for 1300 years. He hasn't turned up. He ain't coming. I'm your man. And people said, well, Rasulullah said he'll be the son of Maryam, and your mother's name is Chiragh Bibi. Isa alayhi salam's mother's name is, and Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani's mother's name is Chiragh Bibi. Now if Allah hadn't mentioned Maryam, then Mirza would say, no, I'm okay. I'm okay even being the son of Chiragh Bibi. But sorry, the Messiah is son of Maryam alayhi salam. So his mother's name is mentioned in Quran. Everybody has a mother, but his mother, special woman. So the Messiah, when he comes, he will be son of Maryam alayhi salam. Anybody else will be son of Chiragh Bibi or Ghulam Bibi or mashallah whatever Bibi. He cannot be the Messiah. So firstly, his mother's name is mentioned in the Quran. That anybody who comes to this world is born. Every child, be a man or a woman, is conceived with the union of a man and a woman. People get married. Who gets married? A man and a woman, huh? We are living in strange times. Men want to marry men and women want to marry women. Astaghfirullah. So a marriage is valid between, in Islam, a marriage is valid between a man and a woman. So then they have relationship, and then a child is conceived and develops in the womb of his mother. But Maryam, she wasn't married. She had no relationship with any man. So when the angels came to tell Maryam alayhi salam, Ya Maryam, inna Allah yubashiruki bi kalimatin min husmu al-Masih Isa ibn Maryam. Allah gives you assurance of his son. His name will be Isa ibn Maryam. He'll be honorable, wajihan fi dunya wal akhirah, wa min al-muqarrabin. He will be honorable in this world and the life hereafter. He will be among those very close to Allah. So Maryam was just shocked. أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي وَلَدٌ وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ. How can I give birth to a son when no man has touched me? The angel said, that is right. You are, as you say, you are innocent, mashallah. You are honorable, you are chaste. But this is something Allah has decided. وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. This is a destined thing. You are going to have a son. Allah has decided. And he's going to be someone very special. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. Allah will make him a sign for the whole of humanity. Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, in Quran and the Bible, it says, in the Bible it says, Isa alayhi salam said clearly as well, I've only been sent to the lost sheep of Israel. Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, was never sent for the Asians, for the Africans, for the Europeans, for the Americans, or anybody else, or the Arabs. Although now in Palestine there are many Christians. On YouTube you can go, and just as they are bombing masjids and Muslims, they are similarly bombing Christians and churches. And many Christians have died as well in the recent bombing. Although 20,000 Palestinian Muslims have died, the Pope didn't say anything. But 2 Christians were killed, and the Pope was up in rage. And then even other people, just like when they were bombing children in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they were reporting the incidents, they are being killed, but they're being killed, or they've died. But when people were dying in Ukraine because they had white skin and blue eyes, the journalists were saying it's so shocking to see children dying. when they were dying in Afghanistan and Iraq, in the thousands, it didn't matter. It's just children, right? Oh, sorry, wrong intelligence. But when they were dying in Ukraine, the journalists are so horrific, and they want to shut the doors for other immigrants, but Ukrainians being welcomed, and the doors have been opened fully to allow them in, yes. But if you are not blue eyes and white skin, sorry, we're going to send you to Rwanda, to Africa. Allahu Akbar. So now when 20,000 Palestinian Muslims were killed, mosques were demolished, bombed, hospitals were bombed, oh, it's horrific. It's not Keir Starmer, the Labour leader. When he was asked about what was happening in Ukraine, he said these are war crimes being committed by Putin. He should be arrested and taken to The Hague. But when he was asked what's happening in Palestine, with the hospitals being bombed, is that war crimes? He said, well, that's not up to me, it's up to the lawyers. It's on YouTube. He was confronted. So when white-skinned people with blue eyes dies, it's war crime, it's genocide. He needs to be taken to The Hague. But if Muslims are bombed, that's up to the lawyers. It's not my business to comment. Allahu Akbar. And now when Palestinian Christians died, oh, even the Pope and everybody, oh, Christians have been killed. Allahu Akbar. And then the deputy mayor of Jerusalem was being interviewed, and when they were asked, what do you think? Even Nick Ferrari, I don't know how many of you know him and follow him. And when he was discussing with the deputy mayor online in Jerusalem, and she refused outright, oh, there are no churches, there are no Christians. He said, well, I've just interviewed somebody who has family back in Gaza, who have been killed. Allahu Akbar. But anyway. So Maryam alayhi salam, when she conceived without the union of a man, without being married, she was so upset. How am I going to give birth to a son without being married when no man has touched me? The angel said, yes, that is the case. But this is what Allah has decided. Allah is going to make him a sign. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. Allah is going to make your son a sign for the whole of humanity. So although Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was sent primarily for the Israelites, this is where I wandered off. So in the Bible it says, I've only been sent to the lost sheep of Israel. So Isa alayhi salam was only for the Israelites, not for the Asians, Bengalis, Indians, Pakistanis. Although there are Pakistani Christians, about 25 years ago in Southall, all the churches were almost dead. And the Gores had left Southall, so the churches were terribly empty. So what happens? Christians from India, Pakistan came, and they took over the churches. So now, subhanallah, although there's other communities here, but there is a substantial Asian Christian community here. But Isa alayhi salam wasn't meant to be for the Pakistanis and Indians and Africans. He was only for the Israelites. The Quran makes it clear, Ya Bani Israel, inni Rasulullahi ilaykum. O Israelites, I am a messenger of Allah unto you only. And so although he's a messenger for Allah, a messenger for the Israelites, all previous prophets were sent for the respective people, for a land, for a number of people, for their qawm. But there are 3 people mentioned in Quran who have been sent, who have some benefit or relationship with the whole of humanity. First one is Ibrahim alayhi salam. In the Quran, Allah said to him, after all his sacrifices, Inni ja'iluka linnasi imama. Allah said to him, I'm going to make you imam of the whole of humanity. And in the Bible, Ibrahim alayhi salam is referred to as father of nations. In the Bible it says that God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you father of nations. All nations will be blessed through you. Those who bless you will be blessed, and those who curse you will be cursed. So Ibrahim alayhi salam is imam of humanity. And not only Muslims believe in him and respect him, but not only Muslims, Christians and Jews also accept and respect Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he's the first one who has a status which affects the whole of humanity. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sent to guide the whole of humanity. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ. We have not sent you but to guide the whole of mankind. Isa alayhi salam was sent as a guide for the Israelites, but Allah intended to make him a sign for the whole humanity. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. So Isa alayhi salam, he has in his first coming, even the Israelites did not accept him. As a child, when he was born miraculously, the Israelites slandered his mother. And then when he started preaching, the Jews rejected him. The Jews had been waiting for a Messiah who will lead them to the restoration of their golden age, which they had enjoyed during the time of Dawood and Sulaiman alayhi salam. Hence the flag of Israel, so we've got a white background with two blue lines and the Star of David. Yes? Dawood alayhi salam, he was the man who first conquered Jerusalem about 1100 years before Isa alayhi salam, and he made Jerusalem his capital. And so his kingdom the capital was Jerusalem. Then after he ruled from Jerusalem for almost 33 years. He had been the leader of the Israelites for 7 years prior to that. Then for 33 years he ruled from Jerusalem. Then when he passed away after being king of the Israelites for almost 40 years, then his son Sulaiman alayhi salam, he acquired his throne and he also ruled from Jerusalem. But after Sulaiman alayhi salam passed away, then the Israelites, they started infighting, then like imposed the Syrians upon them. They were exiled. Then along came Nebuchadnezzar about 600 years before Isa alayhi salam, and he massacred the Jews in the tens of thousands. He took many thousands back as captives to Babylon, to Babel, where Ibrahim alayhi salam had come from, and he enslaved them. Then Allah raised Zulqarnain, and Zulqarnain, it is thought that he was Cyrus the Great. He was founder of the Persian Empire. And then he invaded Babylon, defeated the Babylonians, and let the Israelites set them free and helped relocate them back in Palestine. And Nebuchadnezzar, in Arabic, the Urdu, he called was Muqtanasir. He had destroyed Masjid al-Aqsa. Just as Baitullah was initially built by Adam alayhi salam, then the time Nuh alayhi salam it suffered, then Ibrahim alayhi salam rebuilt it. Masjid al-Aqsa was similarly built in the time of Adam alayhi salam, and when it suffered in the time of Nuh alayhi salam, like Baitullah, then it was rebuilt by Sulaiman alayhi salam. But Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king, destroyed it. And then the Romans destroyed it. And then it remained like that. And then in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, Muslims conquered the whole of Jerusalem and Masjid Aqsa was established. Then the Crusaders took it from the Muslims. Then Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmahullah, he took it from the Crusaders and it remained with the Muslims till 1967. Although it's still under the control of the Muslims, but the Jews have overall control. And so Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah has referred to him as the sign for the whole of humanity. In his first coming, the Jews didn't accept him. But in his second coming, the whole world will know him. The second point, his birth, his conception. Third, his birth. Allah has mentioned it under a palm tree. Allah has mentioned the fact that when, just like in every society, whenever a woman, the time comes for her to give birth, then she realizes that she is going to give birth soon because discomfort, pains start. And they are referred to as labor pains. Labor pains lead to birth. So Allah has mentioned in the Quran, فَأَجَاهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. The labor pains brought Maryam to rest under a palm tree. So his birth under a palm tree is mentioned in the Quran. Back in the days, no maternity hospitals, no maternity wards. Maryam alayhi salam gave birth under where? Palm tree. Under a palm tree, Allahu Akbar. And then as an infant, when eventually he was born, and Maryam alayhi salam, having given birth, now brought Isa alayhi salam to meet her family. They were shocked. Ya Maryam, laqad ji'ti shay'an fariya. Ya Maryam, where did you get this child from? Ma kana abuki imra sawmi wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya. Your mother and father were good people, they weren't bad people, so what have you done? So she pointed to the child. And they said, كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ الصَّبِيَّةِ. How do you expect us to talk to an infant? So his infancy. And then as he was growing up, Allah says, وَأُمُّ صِدِّيقَةً كَانَ يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ. A mother and son, they both used to eat. If you eat, what goes in, then
comes out.
What goes in? अगर खाना खाएंगे तो जो अंदर जाएगा तो फिर उसको बाहर भी तो आना है कि नहीं? So what goes in?
It comes out.
Come out. So Allah is proving not the divinity of Isa alayhi salam, but his bashariyah, his humanity. That he was a human, because God doesn't eat and drink. Angels don't eat and drink. So his humanity. And then when he started preaching, in the Bible his preaching is mentioned, in Quran his preaching is mentioned. And when the Bani Israel rejected him, then his miracles, the fact that he was born blind, leopard, he would sometimes go to the graveyard and say, rise in the name of Allah. I raise the dead with Allah's will. So, his mother's name, his conception, his birth, his infancy, his preaching, his miracles. And when they rejected him, they wanted to kill him. And then Allah saved him. قال الله يا عيسى إني متوفيك. I will save you and raise you to myself. So does God need defending? No. God is a defender and protector of the whole universe. So when Isa alayhi salam his life was in danger, he needed to be rescued and saved. And how? By being raised to the heavens. بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. Allah raised him to himself. And if he's gone up, then in order to complete his life, he needs to come down. Because when Adam alayhi salam was in paradise, Adam alayhi salam ate from the forbidden tree, and Allah said to him, فَهْبِتْ مِنْهَا. From here you have to go down, and then you will وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُسْتَقَرٌ وَمَتَاعٌ إِلَىٰ حِينٍ. You will have to live on earth for a definite period, and then فِيهَا تَحْيَوْنَ وَفِيهَا تَمُوتُونَ وَمِنْهَا تُخْرَجُونَ. That is where you complete your life and die there to rise from there. So if Isa alayhi salam has gone up, then in order to complete his life, he has to
Come down.
Because there is no cemetery in the heavens. Cooper, you know, many years ago, because 30-40 years ago, the Muslim community in Southall was mainly Pakistani. Then in the 1990s, many Somalis started coming here. Then Afghani started coming here. And until about 2000, there was some Bengali brothers, but not many. There were some in Uxbridge, I think his family and others. But in Southall, there weren't many Bengali brothers in the 1990s. They started coming afterwards. And subhanallah, now, mashallah, it's nice to see so many brothers all around. But anyway,
Portugal and Italy. From Portugal and Italy coming.
No, why did I say this? I skipped off something.
The cemetery, there is no cemetery in the
There is
top.
no cemetery in the heaven. So when in the 90s, ulama used to come from Pakistan. In the beginning, many among Pakistanis, but if somebody died, then they would send their bodies back to Pakistan.
That's right.
Because most of their family was there. So I remember once an alim came on as Abu Qasim and he said, Pakistan hai ya Kabristan hai? Pakistan is because you living here, you working here, your family is here, so now start burying your people here. Now why send them? This Pakistan, not Kabristan. So in the heavens there is no Kabristan.
No.
So in order to die and be buried, Isa alayhi salam has to come down and complete his life here, to rise from here. So his ascension and his descent. then his death will be here. And Allah has mentioned his death in the future tense. وَإِن مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا لَيُؤْمِنَنَّ بِهِ قَبْلَ مَوْتِهِ. And before he dies, there will not remain anyone from the people of the book except he will believe in it before he dies. In the future. So there's going to come a time when Isa alayhi salam will die, and before he dies, all the Christians will accept him not as the son of God, but as the servant of God. Servant of Allah. And by accepting Isa alayhi salam will lead people to accept Rasulullah as well. You know the Darood we recite? In Salat we recite the Darood. What Darood do we recite? Darood Ibrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. What does it mean? आपने कभी सोचा है इसका मायना क्या है? What does it mean when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad? It means generally any young boy can share with us the meaning of Darood Ibrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Oh Allah, send mercy upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
and his family
and his al, as you have sent mercy upon
Ibrahim
and his
family.
इसी तरह सुना है आपने? Is that what you heard?
Yes.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Oh Allah, send salawat, meaning mercy upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his al, as you have already sent salawat upon Ibrahim and his al. Is that what you heard? Huh? That's not what it quite means. Because if it's mutlaq rahmat, we are asking Allah to send upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as he has already sent upon Ibrahim. So that means we are praying for Rasulullah for something he doesn't have yet, which Ibrahim already has. If you go to a shop and you see somebody walking away with something, you like it. Brother, you know what he bought? Can you give me that as well? Huh? He's already bought it. You haven't. You want that. Yes? So when you say, can you give me what you've given him? It means that guy already has it, but you don't. So when we say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita, Ya Allah, give Rasulullah something you have already given Ibrahim. So it means this special rahmat which we are asking Allah to give Rasulullah, he doesn't have it yet, but Ibrahim already has. So what is it which Ibrahim has, Rasulullah doesn't have yet? And all the Muslims all over the world are asking Allah to give Rasulullah. You understand? So what is that? My Shaykh he said, this is acceptance. We respect Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and we believe in him. But do the Christians and the Jews believe Rasulullah? Do the Christians and the Jews accept Rasulullah? But just as we accept Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Jews and the Christians also accept Ibrahim alayhi salam and respect him. So when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid, it means, oh Allah, grant Rasulullah what you've already given Ibrahim, and that is, Ya Allah, make them accept Rasulullah as well. And when will this come true? When Isa alayhi salam comes. Because when Isa alayhi salam comes, the Jews who rejected him initially, they will see the man that we thought we had killed on the cross 2,000 years ago is still alive. And he's come back. And the Christians, when they hear that Isa alayhi salam has descended and they go to meet him, don't you think he will say, look, I know you come to see me, but I am not who you think I am, the Son of God. I am his servant. And I am his servant. You need to accept me as a servant of Allah, and you also need to accept Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because this was Isa alayhi salam's main mission, to pave the way for coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So and then when in his time, when he makes things clear, all those Jews who are sincere, and many Jews are also accepting Islam even now. In Israel, they are accepting Islam. In America, in the Western countries, especially now, mashallah, what's happening in Gaza, it's amazing. It's really opening people's eyes. And people, mashallah, they are seeing a man whose sons, who's lost his sons, who's lost his mother, who's lost his brothers and sisters, but he's saying, Alhamdulillah. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. And there are videos circulating of Israeli soldiers who've gone back. Israeli soldiers who've been fighting in Gaza and the West Bank again with Palestinians, when they see the atrocities they've committed, many go home and the video is being shared. They think, their ghosts come and haunt them. And they can't sleep at night. There was one Israeli soldier who says, I've become so crazy, I beat up my wife every day because I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep until I drink a whole bottle of alcohol. But those dying, who losing everyone, losing their parents, losing their children, brothers and sisters, relatives and everything, and Allahu Akbar. And when they're being asked, they are saying, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. A young man, he lost his mother and sister, saying, I'm so proud of my mother and my sister. They're shuhada. Shuhada. Normally when people die, after 1 or 2 days, their bodies stink. The smell is so profound and unbearable. But many are dying there, and when they are praying their janazas, they are smelling of musk. So people are seeing, what is it? What's keeping these people going? For a man to lose everything in the West, people will become crazy. But those guys are saying, Alhamdulillah. If that's what Allah wants, Allahu Akbar, then we are happy with whatever Allah has. And mashallah, when the children are dying and they are seeing the children off, they are sending salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And they are saying, give our salam to Rasulullah and tell Rasulullah we are happy. If this is what Allah wants from us, we are happy. So when people are seeing this, they are being forced to open the Quran and read the Quran and see what is it? What is the motivation and the strength which is keeping these people going? Allahu Akbar. So many Jews are accepting Islam as well. So when Isa alayhi salam comes back, don't you think everybody will accept Islam? And so that is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. Yunikallahu fi zamani al-milala kullaha illa al-Islam. When Isa alayhi salam comes back in his time, all other religions, they will finish. And Islam will enter into every house made of mud and brick, whether someone accepts it willingly or unwillingly. And then this is before Isa alayhi salam died. And then when he dies, on the day of Qiyamah, he will be raised. Allah will gather all the people, Allah will question them, Allah will question all the prophets. But Allah will specially question Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam will have a special hearing in the court of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. And Allah will question him, Ya Isa ibn Maryam, أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَٰهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Did you ever tell the people that they should take you and your mother as gods other than Allah? Isa alayhi salam will say, Subhanaka ma yakunu li an aqula ma laysa li bihaq. Glory be to you, O Allah. How can I say something to which I had no right? ما قلت لهم إلا ما أمرتني به أن يعبدوا الله ربي وربكم. I only said to them what you had commanded me to say, that they should worship Allah, my Lord and their Lord. In the Bible it says Jesus got on his hands and knees, put his head down on the floor, like not standing in a church and singing carols, but like Muslims do, put their head down and sajda, praying to Allah. And so Isa alayhi salam, when he comes back, and he will die and the people will accept him on the day of Qiyamah, his presentation in the court of Allah. So going back to where we started, Allah has mentioned every stage, every aspect of Isa alayhi salam's life in Quran. His mother's name, his conception, his birth, his infancy, his preaching, His humanity, His miracles, His ascension, His descent, and His death and presentation in the court of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. No other prophet of Allah is mentioned in the Quran like this. Why? Firstly, to refute the Christians that a man who has a mother, how can he be God? A man who developed in the womb of his mother and experienced birth, how can he be God? A man who used to eat and drink, how can he be God? And a man who was in problem needed saving. Does Allah need protection? No. Allah is the protector. فَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْحَافِظٍ خَيْرُ الْحَافِظِينَ خَيْرُ النَّاصِرِينَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. So a man who needed saving, can he be God? And then a man who experienced death. In Quran there's a verse, it's called Ayatul Kursi. There was a sahabi of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his name was Ubay ibn Ka'b. Rasulullah has given many degrees to his different companions. One such companion was Ubay ibn Ka'b. Rasulullah said about him, Aqra'u Ubay ibn Ka'b. The biggest qari of this ummah is Ubay ibn Ka'b. And Rasulullah once tested him. And Rasulullah asked him, what's the biggest verse in Quran? In other words, the most majestic. The longest verse in Quran is a verse of Surah Baqarah, is known as the verse of debt, the verse of loan. Loan is such a burden. If a person owes people money and he has no intention of paying back, he will not be able to go into paradise even if he dies a shaheed. If a person owes people money and you die a shaheed, even if you become alive, you die a shaheed again, then you become alive, then you die a shaheed again, you still can't go to Jannah until your death is settled. This is how important it is. Many people take loans, they have no intention, and they don't behave as though they want to pay back. That's the longest verse in the Quran. It's known as the verse of dayn, the verse of debt. But the most majestic verse in Quran, Ayatul Kursi. Something you should recite after every salat and especially before sleeping as well. In Ayatul Kursi begins with what? Allahu la ilaha illahu Al-Hayyul Qayyum. Al-Hayy means ever living. When there was nothing, Allah was there. When there will be nothing, Allah will be there. Allah is ever living by Himself. Allah has given us life. Allah has given it, then Allah will take it away. So people are mortal, they are born and they die. But Allah is ever living. So but Isa alayhi salam, he is not ever living. He experienced death. He will experience it. He will experience death. So a man who experiences death and will be questioned on the day of Qiyamah, how can he be God? So firstly, to refute Christians. That you claim him to be God, how can you treat him as God? And then secondly, to make us aware that Isa alayhi salam isn't just a historical figure. He's a figure for the future. He has a future ahead of him as well. And upon his return, he will unite all these Abrahamic faiths. Muslims, Jews, and Christians, under his leadership, the whole world will become Muslim. And it will be filled with so much peace. Rasulullah said, Yulqillahu al-amana, Allah will fill the world with so much peace that lions will graze with camels and tigers with cows, and children will play with snakes. And Isa alayhi salam will distribute so much wealth that nobody will want to accept anymore. And the whole world will be filled with Islam. Has that happened? Shall I will finish here. I think especially young people are quite tired. But has that happened?
No.
ये सब कुछ हो गया, सारे मुसलमान हो गए?
No.
Is the word. And when Isa alayhi salam comes, Rasulullah said, وَيَدَعُ الْجِزْيَةِ وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ وَيَدَعُ الْحَرْبِ. There will be a mega war. In hadith is referred was Malhamatul Kubra, the mighty catastrophe. Some people refer to as a world war. So there has been mentioned, there have already been 2 world wars. So people are expecting a 3rd world war. And Allah knows best if what's happening now in Palestine, if it's the corridor and events which might unfold and lead to a world war. Allah knows best. that there is going to be a mega war. And at the end of that war, Isa alayhi salam will descend on the eastern white mountain in Damascus. Palestine has been a land of conflict historically as well. Since for thousands of years, land of conflict, battles, warfare. So much blood has been shed on that blessed land. Ard al-Muqaddasa. And the final war will also take place there. And Isa alayhi salam will come down in Damascus, chase the Dajjal and kill him at Lud, which is presently near Tel Aviv. And that after that, the whole world will be filled with Islam. And Isa alayhi salam will live for 40 years, and during that period he will get married, and then Allah will bless him with children as well. And then he will die and normal death and be buried next to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Medina. So his mother's name, conception, birth, infancy, preaching, humanity, miracles, ascension and descent, then his death, then his presentation before the Allah. And no prophet is mentioned like that. If you Christians and make us aware, there is still a future which awaits Isa alayhi salam, and he will do that on behalf of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Finally also, because people are aware that Muslims await the coming of the Messiah. Muslims believe in the return of Isa alayhi salam. Christians also await the return of Jesus. And the Jews are also waiting for a Messiah. And this is one of the reasons why Netanyahu is so hell-bent on committing massacre of Palestinians, because he believes there was a rabbi in America. His name was Menachem Schneerson, and he, if you can search for this on YouTube under the heading The Rebbe, and he was highly respected in the Jewish community. In fact, after the Holocaust, he is assigned with the reformation of the Jewish faith and re-establishment of the Jewish faith. And he was highly respected in the Jewish community, and he supposedly told Netanyahu that you are the chosen one who will pave the way for the coming of the Messiah and hand him the reins to lead the Jewish people to the restoration of their golden age. So Netanyahu thinks he's on a mission, and the only way that he can hasten the coming of the Mashiach, the Messiah, is by causing massacres. So Rabbi Schneerson, Netanyahu met him many times, and in one of those meetings, he said, to do things, to take measures which will hasten the coming of the Mashiach. And he said, I'm trying. He said, you're not trying hard enough. You need to do more, meaning kill more Palestinians. So this is why the world is asking for a ceasefire. Netanyahu doesn't want to know. He thinks he's on a holy mission. Allahu Akbar. And so, but the Jews are expecting a Messiah, the Christians are expecting the return of Jesus, Muslims are also awaiting Isa alayhi salam. This is why many people throughout history have laid claims falsely to being the Messiah. And among them, like we mentioned earlier, the most famous of all was Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. He said, you've been waiting for a Messiah for 1300 years, he hasn't come, so I'm your man. So people said to him, well, the Messiah Rasulullah talked about is son of Maryam, you are son of Chirag Bibi. He goes, that doesn't matter. And then people said to him that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that the Messiah will descend on the eastern white minaret in Damascus. Isa alayhi salam ka nuzul kahan hoga? Damascus में मशरक़ी किनारे पर जो सफ़ेद रंग का होगा, on the eastern white minaret in Damascus. But you were born in Qadian. He said, no problem, let's build a minaret, I'll go up then come down. But there's one problem, I don't have the money, so I need you to give me some money. And Rasulullah said about the Messiah will give money, but he was one who was asking all the time. So then the people started giving him money. But Israel alayhi salam, you know Israel alayhi salam? He didn't give him an opportunity to start building. And he paid him a visit before they could start the construction. And so he died on the 26th of May 1908, but the Qadianis, they didn't start the construction and completion till 1916. So in Qadian, they built a minaret and they called it Minaratul Masih. But Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani didn't get an opportunity even to see the minaret, let alone go up or down. But Isa alayhi salam will descend on the eastern white minaret. And then he will make Hajj or Umrah, will put on his ihram, visit Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and make salam upon the grave of Rasulullah, and Rasulullah will respond to his salam, and eventually he will die and be buried next to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani is buried where? In Qadian. He didn't even get a chance to see Medina, let alone visit Medina and die in Medina. So there are a lot of false messiahs. Even Isa alayhi salam, according to the Bible, said, look out for the false messiahs. Many will come and lie on my behalf, but be aware of the false messiahs. So many are false messiahs. The real Messiah, when he will come, he will bring peace to the world. And Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani as well in his poetry has written, जब आएगा तो सुलह को वो साथ लाएगा, जंगों के सिलसिला को वो यकसर मिटाएगा, एक घाट पे पिएंगे शेर और गोस्पान, खेलेंगे बच्चे सांपों से बेखौफ व बेगज़न, यानी वो वक्त अमन का होगा न जंग का, भूलेंगे लोग मशगला तीर और तफंग का. When the Messiah comes, he will bring peace. People will forget about bows and arrows, children will play with snakes, and wolves will drink on the same pond as sheep. And people will forget about bows and arrows, total peace in the world. But when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani left this world, there wasn't just no peace, there was a war and a world war. First World War I, then World War II, and now things are getting up for a World War III. And Mirza said that people will forget about bows and arrows, and now when Mirza died, it left the world in an arms race. Chemical weapons, atomic weapons, cruise missiles, fighter jets, and Allahu Akbar, so much warfare with all these bombs being dropped in Gaza. It all proves that Isa alayhi salam as yet has not come. Because when Isa alayhi salam comes, there will be peace, there will be unity in the world. The whole world will truly become a global village, and the whole world will become one under his leadership on behalf of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But before that happens, the times will be very severe. Before that, the Dajjal will come, and the Mahdi will come. There will be such warfare, Allahu Akbar. It will cause so much havoc, so much bloodshed, and this is what the world is getting up for. But Allah save us all. No matter how severe things become, Allah isn't just great, Allah is... You say Allahu Akbar? Somebody give us an, what does he say?
Allahu Akbar.
What does Allahu Akbar mean?
Allah is great.
Allah isn't just great, Allah is
Greatest.
greatest. No matter how severe problems become, whatever problem, financial, political, personal, family, national, whatever problems, Allah is the greatest. Allah has a solution to all the problems. As long as people turn to Allah, Allah will protect them, Allah will protect their iman, Allah has the power to protect their families. You know, when people were dying in Syria, people were marching, there was one placard. It says, you can kill all the children, but one Moses will survive. You know what that means? Just as Pharaoh, when he was told a child is going to be born in the house of Israel, he will bring you downfall, he ordered all the male children to be killed. But was Musa alayhi salam killed? Allah saved him and Allah put him in the lap of Pharaoh in his palace. Let me see what you can do. Some people have said, but then once Musa alayhi salam was sitting in his lap and he got hold of Pharaoh's beard and he slapped him. Pharaoh knew this is the child I really want. He's in his lap, but could he kill him? No. So there was one placard, you can kill all the children, 7,000 plus children have died, but one Moses will survive. And that Moses will take care of the things. So eventually Isa alayhi salam is going to come. But Isa alayhi salam, when he comes, he will come. But Allah is ever living. Allah isn't just great, Allah is the greatest. And this is what we reminded every azan, every iqamah, every time we pray. We begin with Allah, up and down, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. May Allah have mercy upon us and save us all. May Allah keep us on Islam as long as we live. And whenever time comes to leave this world, may Allah take us away on Iman. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.